Think you know American pop culture? Test your knowledge of iconic moments, music, movies, and history in this fun trivia quiz. Who refused to give up her bus seat in 1955, sparking civil rights protests? Rosa Parks. What are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution called? The Bill of Rights. What country gifted the United States the Statue of Liberty? France. What is the theater where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated? Ford's Theater. What was the name of the play Lincoln was watching when he was assassinated? Our American Cousin. What is the call sign of the president's airplane? Air Force One. What is the call sign of the president's helicopter? Marine One. What is the nickname of the presidential limousine since 2001? The Beast. What food is most commonly eaten on the 4th of July in the United States? Hot dogs. Which American singer was known as the Godfather of Soul? James Brown. What lifestyle and music style associated with Nirvana and Pearl Jam became popular in the 1990s? Grunge. Who is often called the godfather of grunge? Neil Young. What iconic Los Angeles landmark originally read Hollywood Land? The Hollywood sign. Which monument was the first U.S. national monument? Devil's Tower. Which famous civil rights speech was delivered at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.? I Have a Dream. What electronic device was in half of American homes by 1934? Radio. What device was in half of American homes by 1955? Television. What popular 2014 charity trend raised millions for ALS research? Ice Bucket Challenge. Which Game Boy franchise launched in 1996 became one of the highest-grossing media franchises? Pokémon. What augmented reality mobile game revived Pokémon's popularity in 2016? Pokémon Go. Which singer dominated the first half of the 20th century? Bing Crosby. Which singer dominated the second half of the 20th century? Elvis Presley. Who is considered the most popular musical artist of the 21st century as of 2024? Taylor Swift. What U.S. president first lived in the White House? John Adams. What year were American women granted the right to vote? (1920). Which U.S. president launched the New Deal programs? Franklin D. Roosevelt. Which river is the longest in the United States? Missouri River. Which state was the first to join the Union? Delaware. Which state joined the Union before California? Wisconsin. Which state was the 48th to join the United States? Arizona. Which state capital named Springfield is the only state capital with that name? Springfield, Illinois. Which state is geographically closest to Africa? Maine. Which state was once part of Massachusetts? Maine. What was the first permanent English colony in America? Jamestown. What is the oldest higher education institution in the United States? Harvard University. What treaty ended the American Revolutionary War? Treaty of Paris. What deal in 1803 doubled the size of the United States? Louisiana Purchase. Who rode at night to warn colonists that the British were coming? Paul Revere. What war ended with another Treaty of Paris in 1898? Spanish-American War. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? July 4, 1776. When was the first 4th of July fireworks celebration held? July 4, 1777. How many people signed the Declaration of Independence? (56). Which founding father was born in Boston in 1706 but associated with Philadelphia? Benjamin Franklin. Which American composer is called the father of American music? Stephen Collins Foster. Which legendary folk figure was actually Jonathan Chapman? Johnny Appleseed. Who received a charter to establish Pennsylvania? William Penn. Which major engineering project became possible due to the Spooner Act of 1902? Panama Canal. Which famous monument features Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln? Mount Rushmore. What major Cold War period of tension lasted from 1945 to 1991? The Cold War. What competition between the U.S. and USSR focused on space exploration? The space race. What defensive program proposed by Ronald Reagan in 1983 was nicknamed Star Wars? Strategic Defense Initiative. What two phases made up the Gulf War coalition campaign? Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. What was the Secret Service originally created for in 1865? Counterfeiting of U.S. currency. What was the U.S. national anthem officially adopted in 1931? The Star-Spangled Banner. What large suburban developments were built by William Levitt? Levitt Towns. Which famous singing cowboy starred in Western films and music? Gene Autry.
What was Gene Autry's horse named?
Champion. Who was Roy Rogers' famous singing cowgirl wife? Dale Evans. Who was the first woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court? Sandra Day O'Connor. What was the name of the first color 3D feature film from a major American studio? House of Wax. What infamous 1959 movie is often called the worst movie ever made? Plan 9 from Outer Space. Who directed the cult film Plan 9 from Outer Space? Ed Wood. What television show had over 200 songs reach the Billboard Top 100? Glee. What famous movie scream has appeared in hundreds of films? Wilhelm scream. In what film was the Wilhelm scream first heard? Distant Drums. Who was the most decorated American combat soldier of World War II? Audie Murphy. What U.S. program first brought air conditioning to public buildings like movie theaters?
Carrier Engineering Corporation.
When was air conditioning added to the White House? 1929. What nickname described the simultaneous 2023 releases of Barbie and Oppenheimer? Barbenheimer. Which American actor became the oldest person to go into space at age 90? William Shatner. What nationality was William Shatner originally? Canadian. What music group did Diana Ross belong to? The Supremes. Which of these are not associated with the 1950s? Skinny ties, hula hoops, dune buggy, beatniks, or poodle skirts? Dune buggy. What 1990s pop culture franchise included a major trading card game? Pokémon. What city served as the first capital of the United States? New York City. Which two cities also served as official U.S. capitals? Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. Which 7 states first formed the Confederacy in 1861? South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas. What 1920s term described young, fashionable women with short hair and modern style? Flappers. What dance craze became famous during the Jazz Age? The Charleston. Name the original 13 American colonies. Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Virginia.